Okay, so good morning. Good morning once again to all of you professors. Today we are um, dealing with our group presentations, and I think the topic was about communication and all the other aspects of communication. Groups had their own themes to work on. So group one is going to speak to us about what communication is and the importance of communication. That is what Group 1 is going to speak to us about. So Group 1 members, please, the ball is in your court now. Communication presentation by Group 1, as you all see on the screen. So please, Group 1 leader, you may take over.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Amma, for the opportunity to speak. So, my name is Nadum Isufibed, and I am the group leader for Group 1. Okay, so the topic for the presentation today is communication. So, please the next slide. Okay, so the aim of the entire presentation is to explain communication as a term in business management. So, please the next slide. Okay. So communication can be simply defined as a transfer of information in the form of ideas, feelings, or facts from a sender to a receiver amongst individuals or institutions. Is there any questions? Is there any questions so I can continue?
Okay, so I think I'll come in with that. So you say communication is the transfer of information in the form of ideas, feelings, or facts. Can you give specific examples of this particular concept, ideas, feelings, or facts? And well, it is not only to Prof. Nadom, it's to all Group 1 members. So, or any of our professors here may share if the person has an idea or knowledge on whatever I'm asking. So when we say communication is a transfer of information in the form of ideas, feelings, or facts, what does that mean? As in, could you have a specific example to explain this point?
Okay, so please, I wanted to change something.
Okay.
Communication can be simply defined as the sharing of information. So the back and forth sharing of information amongst individuals, meaning there's somebody sending information and there's somebody receiving, and there's feedback given.
Okay. So, for example, if I tell you, Nadum, that please write a report on the business total sales for the month, would you consider that as communication?
Yes.
Okay. I guess we can make progress.
Okay. So the next slide is, why is communication important? So communication is crucial in most settings in life, and without communication, thoughts and ideas cannot be properly put across. Stated below are some importance of communication. So communication is important for building relationships. Simply put, clear communication between parties allows for building of strong bonds and relationships. Is there any questions?
I think you can go ahead and we'll ask the questions at the end of your presentation.
Okay, sir. So communicate. The next point is communication is important for conveying information. Communication allows for the exchange of information, ideas and knowledge.
Okay.
Okay. Other importance of communication is vital for conflict resolution. Through communication, misunderstandings and arguments can be put across clearly, and this will help with the resolution of the said conflict. Communication is important for boosting teamwork and productivity. Communication aids in boosting teamwork and productivity when words of encouragement and reassurance are used, thus boosting individual and collective confidence and morale. Thank you.
Okay, so I think group one, that is the end of their presentation. They explained to us what communication is, or let me say, they briefly defined communication as just the transfer of information, which can be in the form of ideas, feelings, or facts, from a sender to a receiver amongst individuals or institutions. Okay, now they also outline some of the importance of communication. One being that communication helps build relationships. It also allows for exchange of ideas and knowledge. It is also vital for conflict resolutions, and it's also important for boosting teamwork and productivity. So, professors, there we have it. If you have anything to ask or add, feel free. Any question from any of us, professors? Okay. Well, I would have, the only thing I wanted to add is that, right, this is, remember, we are dealing with business management. And so if we are looking at communication, our focus is more on businesses, right? Because communication is everywhere, in your home, in your church, right? Even in shrines, there are communication. But our specific task is looking at communication in businesses, in business organizations, right? So I was expecting that the definition would have a caption where probably is the transfer or exchange of information, okay, from a sender to a receiver amongst individuals in a business organization or institution. So I wanted the word business being put in there. Right? So that's the only but I have here. So professors, any further questions? If there are no questions, I guess we'll move to group 2. Of Kujo, Enam, Janelle, Ken, Mawina, Na, Portia, Augustine, Selikem, Zoe. Any question on what has been presented to us? Okay, so there are no questions for group 1. Let's give it up for them. I think they tried. We'll go to group 2. Group 2 is presenting on, please, I think I have group 2 members here, right? Let me check on the leader for group 2. Group 2, group 2, group 2. Please, group 2 leader, who is that, please? I'm checking that.
Sir, it's me.
Yes, Prof. Augustine Akoli. So you may take over group 2. You are presenting to us. Please take over.
Okay, sir. So please, good morning.
Good morning.
Um, good morning, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and sir. I am a member of Group 2, and I go by the name Augustine Akoli Mensah. And I'll be presenting on communication processes. So to continue from where Group 1 left off, they talked about communication, which is the transfer of ideas, knowledge, the transfer of ideas, knowledge, and symbols from one person to another. So we will be talking about the processes in communication in businesses. So my members are Selikem, Abubakar, and Lord Listo. So please the next slide. Okay, so communication process. Communication process refers to the way information is exchanged between a sender and a receiver. So the way information is sent or the way information is distributed between the person who is sending the message and the person who is receiving the message. The steps or the processes which are what involved. So the first step or the first process is the sender. The sender is someone who gives the message or who starts the conversation. So he is the sender, the originator of the message. Then we have the message. The message is the information, the idea, or the thought, or the feeling the sender is put. The sender is sending. The sender is sending. Then we have encoding. Encoding means putting message into words, symbols, or gestures. So what you are talking about, the encoding simply means whether you talk, whether you show body language, whether you talk, whether you nod your head. These are the encoding. You also have the channel or the medium. The channel and the medium are the parts, simply the way information will flow, which is the email or the text or a chat. We also have the receiver. The receiver is the person who is receiving the message. So when a sender sends a message, it's the receiver that will receive the message. And the receiver will also decode the information. So when the person knows when the sender talks, the receiver will encode or so it will decode it by interpreting the message in his own understanding. You also have the feedback. The information then the receiver also send the feedback to the sender. You also have noise, the interference that distorts communication, the background of the communication. Please the next slide. So you have examples of the processes. So for example, some examples are the teacher in the classroom. To the teacher, the sender, and the teacher is talking or his message is about maybe communication in business. So that's his message. The encoding will be writing it on the board or showing some gestures when talking. Then the channel will be either typically on the board. Then the receiver will be the students who are listening to the teacher. Then the students will have to decode the information to understand. Then the students also give feedback, and the classroom's distractions, the poor handwriting is the noise background. And we also have it in businesses. That one is in classroom, it's also in businesses. The business owner is also the head office. The instruction the head office will give, the email, the video conference, the team management will be the receivers who interpret it and give feedback on it. So please the next slide. Then we come to the forms of communication. We have formal and informal. We have formal communication and informal communication. So what is formal communication? It is the official and structured way of sharing information within an organization. So the official way, the standard way of sharing information within an organization, it can either be mostly in a business, mostly in businesses. So it follows set of rules, hierarchy, and recognized channels such as reports, email, and message. So it follows what a set of rules or guidelines that makes it what a standard way of communication. So we have some of the features. Some of the features of formal communication is it follows the chain of command. So it follows a set of rules from from rule A to B to C. It is used in official matters like policies, and it's usually documented. So the formal communication mostly, or let me say usually, or it is used in official matters like policies. If government want to make a policy, using policies like that, it's also documented for individuals to watch. We also have the example. The example is an employee submitting a report to his or a manager. That one is the formal way. So the employee will have to follow some rules and regulations to make it formal too, so that the boss will like the way he or she communicates. We also have types of formal communication. We have upward communication, which is from what a lower authority to a higher authority. So when the employee or the worker is giving information to his boss, that's the upward. It means from lower to higher. Then downward will be from the higher management to the lower management. When the boss is giving an order to the worker, it is from top to down. That's what is called downward communication. We also have horizontal communication. It flows between employees or departments at the same level. That means that if I take a department of maybe human resource, the people who are in the department, they are of the same level. So the communication that flows between them is called horizontal. It's the same. We also have diagonal communication. It flows it flows across diverse levels or departments, cutting across hierarchy. And that if two different departments are working together, maybe the human resource and maybe the human resource department and the management department, if they are working together, the information that flows between them is what is known as diagonal communication. Please, the next slide. And say, please, I'll call on Professor Selikem to continue about the informal communication.
Please, good
Okay.
morning. My name is Selikem, and I'll be taking you through informal communication and everything that pertains to it. So, what is informal communication? One may ask. It is also known as the grapevine, and it is the unofficial and casual exchange of information between people in an organization. It does not follow rules or formal channels. It is driven by natural social relationships and is crucial for facilitating quick information flow. Now, features of informal communication. It is casual and flexible. That is, the tone is relaxed and friendly, not strictly professional. It moves quickly by word of mouth, chats or text. It arises naturally from daily social interactions and isn't planned. It has no official records or documentation. It means it does not follow any company policies or formal rules. And an example is colleagues chatting during their lunch breaks. Please, next slide. So, types of informal communication. The gossip chain. It is when a person tells a group, who tells others, often in a circular pattern. The information is mostly non-work related. So, example, A tells everyone they meet, and it is often deliberate. Probability chain. We can also say it is by chance. That is when information is spread randomly between individuals in no particular order, meaning some people are going to receive the information and some will not. Example, A tells a few random people who may or may not pass it on. Single strand chain. That is when information flows from one person to another in a linear one-to-one fashion. So A tells B, B tells C, C tells D, and so on and so forth. Then we have the last one, cluster chain. That is when one person shares information with a small group of trusted individuals who then select a few others who they trust to pass the information on, creating a more selective network. So A tells close friends and they tell their own groups, like the people they also trust. Please, the next slide. So we have come to the conclusion of the communication process, and we want to share some famous quotes from some famous or important personalities. So, The Art of Communication is the Language of Leadership by James Humes. That means that good leaders must know how to communicate effectively. Leadership is not just about power, but it is about expressing ideas clearly and inspiring others. That is, leadership is dependent on communication. Without it, there would be no effective leadership. And good communication is the bridge between confusion and clarity by Nat Turner. Clear communication helps people to understand instead of being confused. So without good communication, misunderstandings and confusions will by all means happen. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you too. That was great from group 2 as well. Professors, I think some of us will have questions or, we want to seek more clarification. Group 2 gave us the bit about the communication process and the formal and informal forms of communication. I have few questions to ask, but I would ask if professors have questions themselves or areas to seek clarity. If there is, I guess we'll do it in the second session. So please jot down your few points and then we'll look at some of the issues being raised, seek for more clarity, and also ask questions and add what we also want to add or subtract. Okay, thank you. So see you in the second session shortly.